Junk car Willie at the East Coast Time Association Horsepower Harvest. Been doing events since 1994 with thousands of world records set. I'm a little shaky. I just went for my first land speed run, and the Yellow Viper, and I'll have his name on the video. I'm so nervous about Jamie. I went 177. He said that's a record for two people. So we'll see. He's checking it out. With him, it's a record. But what I want to talk to you about now is a guy that I have loved for a long time. And I mean love, because once I heard the story, you know, you give him a decal to stick on his, you know, his trailer or his daily. Well, what did he do? He put it right under his name, under a car that's been a race car since 1960. Him and Nelson had it since 66, am I right on that? And it won all kind of AHR, NHR events, set after 77 for 30 years under a carport, and they made it a land speed racer, where it is the fastest Speedweek. Speedweek, it was the fastest TRI-5. So much about that. But you know, kind of, I want to get a little bit of a story. I told you about old Stewball. It's a Peter, Paul, and Mary song about a racing horse that drank wine. Tell us a little bit about this is Tom Hurley. I call him a friend, not just a Facebook friend, but a real friend. Tell me a little bit about, I want to know a little bit about everybody said, you know, let's talk about his events he went to and racing a little bit. So I'm going to leave it all to you. Tell me what you want to, Tom.
Well, my first race car was a what they call a junior fuel dragster. And we won the 1965 AHRA Nationals at Green Valley.
Okay.
And it was a B-fuel dragster, and I think he won at 865, 165, something like that. And then we got a top fuel dragster in the part of 66, and we were traveling a lot, and I didn't want to travel that much, so Joe bought this car, and we started racing with him. So we sort of went backwards. Most people would go forward, I went backwards, and in 66 we got this car. It was a 265 4-speed. It had 20,000 miles on it, and it was a solid car. And it was a 265 with a 4-barrel, with Mondello heads. And first time we took it out, it went a 1398, 102. And I think that we got it with the 265. I think it did the best of maybe a 1290. And then we put a varied engines in it. We put a big block in it. And we ran, it was an AHRA stock car. Then we put a big block in it and ran like C-gas NHRA. And then we put a small block in it and ran E-gas NHRA. And we went to several races, and I still got the stickers. This is the 69 Spring Nationals. In the 70 Spring Nationals this car raced at. And so I always tell the guys when they tech the car, I said, no, they've already looked at it back then. It's okay. And of course, when you go to Bonneville, you have 3 people that tech the car. And, you know, the cars that go over 200 miles an hour, and they look at every single thing, too. So the car's been through about 8 or 9 different motors. And God knows how many transmissions, and it's been through a couple wrecks. We crunched it pretty bad one year at Bonneville, going about 190, and we hit something on the track. And it tore all the front suspension out, and it got airborne and tore the rear end out. And the good thing out of all that happened was it didn't handle very good it handled pretty good up to about 210, 215, then it'd get a little dicey. And so, but we put a all new front suspension, heavier steering, and if we went back to Bonneville now, it'd probably handle, you know, good up to 240. Every 10 miles an hour it sort of changes because the wind changes it. These cars get a tremendous amount of lift. And so when they get lift, you know, in the GoPro at Bonneville, you know, you steer with your little fingers. So the steering wheel is straight, and the car is going about 100 feet this way and 100 feet this way, you know, and that makes your tummy feel funny sometimes. So we've done several aero things. We put a diffuser on it, we put the skirts on it, and that's really helped the handling. And then I always kid people, Jim Brinkenhoff, the driver now, he's a drag racer. He was a pro mod drag racer. Well, one year they looked at when it ran 217, and they looked at the race pack computer, and I was only 60% throttle. So as a drag racer, he goes, "You're only 60% throttle." I told him if I known I was at 60, I'd probably been at 30 because I didn't like 60 at all. So it's got our goal is to go 250. Bottom line.
Yeah.
So out here, our goal would be to go 215, 220. So we probably could have went 215 today. We had it's all changed and we've got new tires on it, and the tires are moving. You can't see the marks, how much it's moving.
Okay. So they're moving.
So we're gonna have to put the screws or whatever in that keeps them from moving. So it's sort of going from a Bonneville car to a drag race car.
I understand.
So it still weighs almost a little over 4,800 pounds. It's still a heavy car.
Yeah.
We took 1,000 pounds of lead out of it running here.
Oh yeah.
Because at Bonneville you want the weight.
Want heavy, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's got quite a history.
I always like TRI-5s. I think to me it's the world's most famous TRI-5 because of the history and what you did to it, you and Mr. and Joe Nelson.
Yeah. Well, it's all stock frame. It's all steel. There's our TRI-5s that actually go faster, but they're tube frame cars or whatever. So this is a mostly stock 57 Chevrolet.
For the steel frame, you have the record for that certain thing. Yeah, that's what I tell people. For that, for a real true car with the steel frame, he has that. Yeah, Speedweek.
So it's fun to come out here and run with the Corvettes and the Ferraris and the BMWs. So that's
keep
fun.
up with them. I mean, because people, think aerodynamics, guys.
Yeah,
so Corvette aerodynamic. It's just like a big brick.
It's a big brick.
And I love it. I mean, we'll show inside again. I got a couple older videos I posted, guys. You want to go back down? I'll put the links in the description. But he showed pictures in the second video. The second video, I think you'd really be interested in. First video, it's running and everything, but we got lots of runs. We got a lot of content off Mr. Hurley this weekend, and I'm very happy about that. Do you see how he is on the camera treating me like this? This is the way he is with everybody. That's what kind of person Tom is.
So there's our fire bottles. And this car is shifted by air and electric. Those are the shifters. The shifter button's on the counter. I'm on the steering wheel, and this is the air bottle for the parachute and the shifters. This is for the race pack, and it doesn't have a radiator. It's a 16-gallon water tank, and it just circulates the water. And there's my 66 Autorama sticker.
And that is not a copy. That's the real thing, guys.
That's been on there since '66.
Yeah, that is so cool.
And it's got a ACH. I forgot the shifter thing on there that helps shift it, and the parachute button's on the deal. There's a manual parachute thing up there in case the air fails. And we put a rear view mirror. It's got a stock 57 rear view mirror, and that's really good because you can tell when the chute opens, because this has a sort of a long stroud line, and you don't always feel it when it opens, and that helps to see everything. The door still slams.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I mean, that's why I wanted to do that. I didn't want to say it on video, but I'll say that's why I wanted to do it, guys. This is a real 57 Chevy, That's
this motor is a Hans Fuchswell motor. It was built in 1999 by him. It was a Pro Mod motor back then, and it's a 632. It's just a tunnel ram and the carburetors. It's sort of old school. But it still goes. It's 1,150 horsepower. It's got a dry sump oil system.
What, out of curiosity, what does this car weigh?
I'm gonna guess we hadn't weighed. It probably weighs about 4,800 pounds.
Okay. Phew.
It's still heavy.
Yeah. I mean, it's.
And at Bonneville, you have to have the straps for the windows, and you also have to have these for the inside for the pushing. And then Bonneville, you have to have a little air vent. That's what this is. They have an air vent. And you have to have these rails on it. So if you get sideways, 150 or whatever, it keeps the air, helps keep the car on the ground. It disrupts the air. Yeah. So it's basically a big on. There's a sticker from 1957.
Oh man, I missed that before.
It's approved for the street.
I do want to give a big shout out to. Can we talk about the driver a little bit? What was his career? How long has he been?
Oh man,
you talked about. See, I didn't realize his career. Like you said, what he did before that. So
well, let me tell you what impressed me about him. you know, he was driving an 8-second street car.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Is that wrong? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's from Iowa, and he's a drag racer, and he professionally drag raced for years. And he had a pro mod car, and it was a real successful pro mod car, and that's how I met him.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a great team, and the car he would win a lot of times, even when they were faster, by better reaction times, and his car would handle. Because, you know, the pro mods have a tendency to get a little wild. But yeah, Jim, and he's a machinist and everything. So he gets in the car. I would just drive the thing. You know, if wheel could be coming off, I'd still drive it. But he feels something, and that's the difference. You know, he can do things a lot better.
Plus, he's just super, like, he goes out of his ways, like, wanting me to, you know, just being super nice. He's just a super nice guy on top of that. Yeah. I'll get you both together a little bit. So the son, yeah, that's good. I just want to. I'd like to. What? Can I have a word with? I mean, both of you. I don't want you going anywhere. You're the man. Tell me. You want to talk a little bit about the history of it, and maybe just a little bit of your history and what's it like to go slower, but still something as I feel as iconic as this car.
Yeah, I've been around cars my whole life. My dad drag raced Pro Gas back in the 70s, and so I grew up in the garage helping him. Said I could read fraction on wrenches before I could read, so it's been in my blood forever. And so I drag raced with my dad, then I started drag racing once I got a license, and drag raced until about 5 years ago. And Tom was coming to the track helping us on our Pro Mod car, which is where I ended up at.
I was the flashlight holder.
Yeah. And he'd buy some slicks once in a while. Hey, those slicks aren't any good. Let me go get some tires for you. So he'd get slicks for us. So he's kind of a quiet sponsor, which is always helpful for us small teams. But we had a crew. And,
so before he was with you, you kind of like was with him.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad. Okay, great. That's cool.
So, but anyway, started helping Tom on this car, wrenching on it. And Tom was driving then. That's when he was at Bonneville run 217. And so I helped him for a while, and then he asked me to drive, and I resisted for a couple years, and finally he says, well, you just won't bring your driver's suit because I signed you up. So been driving.
And how long ago was that?
4 years ago probably, something like that.
And you're dedicated to it, ain't you?
Yeah.
You,
So
you brought
together.
so much to it, you know.
Yep, we enjoy. Tom does it right. He's got air conditioning in his shop, so in Texas that's kind of nice. So when it's too hot in my shop, I go over to his shop, and it's nice and cool. But we have a good time. You know, working on the car, and got friends that help, and yeah, enjoy it. And we go to these, you know, Bonneville rained out a couple years in a row, so that was kind of frustrating. You wait all year to go to Bonneville, then it turns into a lake right in front of you, so that was kind of a mess. So then the guy said, hey, why don't you just bring it over to Arkansas and put some shocks on it and some front brakes and bigger tires and things, and kind of made a conversion from Bonneville to this mile concrete racing. And we've had fun with it. A lot of good people, and it's kind of a mix between drag racing and land speed. It's kind of in between. A little bit of drag racing and a little bit of land speed. So we enjoy it.
I go around, everybody's different. Some people, you know, they're into something, they're busy and doing it. Well, I can walk by these guys, they can have this car front end tore off it, whatever, working on it. They'll still, if I'm taking pictures, speak to me, say hi, be nice. You know, as they're really busy, you know, into stuff, they go out of their way to make sure, not just me, when I say me, that means they're doing it to everybody. And that just tells you how I've since I met him, there's a lot of people I've did videos on, a lot of people that I follow and respect. Now, he could have a cool car and not be a cool guy. Well, he's got an extra legend in a car, and now I feel like, you know, him being a legend owner and driver, there's a new legend that's already made his name and is growing. And, you know, both of you guys. Say your name one more time.
Jim.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So, I appreciate it. Is there anything else
This wouldn't be probably the car that if you were to start from a blank sheet of paper, say, hey, let's make a land speed car. You would probably start with a Studebaker or something, a Corvette or whatever.
Well,
but
yeah, I've read the story.
This is more of a hobby, and you do it because you like it. See how fast you can make a shoebox go. Well, I remember him talking in a story that they started. And then someone came along and told them they realized that they did everything wrong when they started building it the first place. The first build, they did everything wrong.
Nothing right.
Nothing right. So, you know, to be honest about that.
It was funny. This thing sat under the carport 30 years, whatever it was. Well, in that time, I did circle track racing. And then I went to off-road racing. And I got hurt. And I thought that was the end of it. I was hurt pretty bad. So I didn't do anything for 8 years, no magazines, no TV or anything. And I walked by a magazine stand one day, and they had a story about Bonneville. It was just like the old.
It just hit you.
Getting on it. And this has been sitting under the carport, and we made the stupid statement. I thought, well, I bet we could just put a crate motor in that and go to Bonneville. Wrong.
I read that statement. I'm glad you brought that up.
And so that was the start.
There's a very cool story that I'm going to put in the description, guys. The stories that were done, the stories I can find on it, some good stories that he sent me that I want you guys to read that really explains him and this more in this video. But I appreciate them taking time. They're getting ready to do another run. They're like, well, if you want to do it now, we're getting ready to do a run. So they took, well, so far 16 minutes out of their time to do this. So, is there anything you want to say? I just want to say thank you.
We want to thank you for somebody taking the time to do this, because not everybody knows what's going on. You know?
Yeah, this kind of racing is pretty good, because it's you know, it's not hard on the car as much as drag racing might be. It's, you know, we race about 20% of the time we're here, 80% we're hanging out.
I'm like a lot of people that when I put this, I thought land speed racing was all out there. I didn't know anything was on this side of the United States. So at first I didn't know that. And there's been a lot of people that's, you know, that's really into cars and drag racing that didn't know that this was here. And that, if nothing else, they watch my content and learn about it.
That's why you see so many like cars like, you know, Hellcats, Corvettes, all that kind of stuff out here, because it's a safe place to go a couple 100 miles an hour with these cars that make so much
and I
power.
think if it's,
you can't do this on the street, you kill somebody.
Well, I think it's 2010 or something up. Something you don't need all the hardware, just a fire suit and stuff. I think to run so fast.
You can go up to 200 miles an hour.
200 miles an hour. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Bring your daily driver out here.
And the P, I'll tell you guys, P, I don't need to tell it, but it's not like crazy amount P to do it. It ain't. You'll spend more than that sometimes. You and two going out on the evening in a bar at a nice place or something. So it's not that great.
So it's a good safe place to go have fun with these hot rods that we all buy.
Facebook ECTA Motorsports events. You can go there and find out all the information. Just ask and they'll tell you. Great people, Steve and CJ, just great people. So that's all I got to say, except, you know, it's like I said, it'd be a boring world if he's all the same, and it's nice to see these different people that's proud to be different. Keep being you. Is one more last anything?
No, we appreciate you.
Can I get a keep being you out of both of you? Keep being you.
Keep being you.
I got him, guys.